Hello, Violas. Today we are going to learn how to play Hedwig's theme from Harry Potter. This is probably the song that the most students request, so I thought this would be a good time to go through and learn it. This music is available on Smart Music, so you should be able to search for it. It's actually part of a collection or a book that has tunes from the first 5 Harry Potter movies, so it won't be titled Hedwig's theme. It actually will be titled like instrumental Harry Potter solos or something like that. And you can see here, you can actually go through and play a whole bunch of different tunes from the different movies. So if you're really interested in this music, that would be something that you could explore, not just this theme. But we're going to spend time today on just on this. And we're going to kind of go like phrase by phrase, talk about some of the challenging things, and then this is something that you can go back on your own and actually play along on Smart Music, and even send me a recording. So the first thing that we always want to look at when we start a new piece of music is the key signature and the time signature. So to start, this starts in the time signature of 3/4. It's a very quick 3/4. If you know what the piece sounds like, it's pretty fast, and it says that our quarter note is 160 beats per minute. We're not going to play it that fast today. We're going to slow it down a bit, and I would recommend up here where you can change your tempo the first time that you go through it with the recording, I would decrease that tempo a little bit as well. We also start in the key of G major, which means we have F sharps only. If we're thinking in terms of fingering on our viola, that means that when we get to our A string, all of our C's are going to be low 2s, C naturals, unless it's marked otherwise. So that's an important thing to note. Like I said, I'm going to go through by phrase, or this is another way of saying like a musical sentence. And you'll notice that most of these phrases start on a pickup or on the fourth beat or the third beat of a previous measure. So the first phrase, of course, starts here, and I'm going to play all the way until this B right here. So let's play. I'll play through it, and then I'll kind of talk about some of the challenges that you might find with it. So I'm starting with a high 2. Remember, B natural is one of those weird notes where it's a high 2 on the G string. So this is what it sounds like. This section should have been relatively straightforward. There are a couple of little things I want to point out. First of all, there are 2 times when you have double up bow. So this E to this B is a double up bow. I know this isn't marked, but it does fall as an up bow, so it's up, up. Same with right here, up, up. So just watch out for that bowing. I also want to point out that from this F natural, a low 2, to the next note, B natural, which we just said was a high 2, you're going to have to stretch that second finger. And lastly, with this section, remember that this, which looks like a slur, is actually a tie, which means that we're going to hold that B for whatever number of beats we get by adding these 2 notes together. So this dotted half note is 3 beats. This half note is 2 beats, so that's a 5-beat note. And then you're going to see that throughout this piece, so make sure you're watching out for this. The next phrase is going to go from this B until this E. Now, there's some weird fingerings in here. I'm going to actually maybe tell you otherwise in a minute, but let me play for you what it sounds like, and then we'll go through it. This is what this section sounds like. Now, it's actually kind of interesting to me because I just filmed the violin video using this book, and they didn't recommend these fingerings for violin. I would actually go with what I did in the violin video over what they wrote in here. So for right now, I'm going to suggest you ignore these. They do have some better fingerings later that we're going to go with, but this note, G sharp, this is a high 3. They have shifted here to 3rd position. I think it's actually easier to stay in 1st position. So you have your regular 3 fingers for the note G, then you're going to take it and just scooch it up a little bit to make it G sharp. Okay. Over here, this is a C natural. I understand what they're getting at by saying 3 fingers, but we're still going to play that as a low 2. Then we have a B. And the next note is called A sharp. You probably know it by another name better. That name is B flat. A B flat is down here. So B flat and A sharp are actually the same note. They're just two different ways of writing the same thing. So you can think of it either way, but this is what it sounds like when you put it together. C, B, B flat, or A sharp. And then the next note is another A sharp, a low A sharp. Again, you can play that like a B flat on the G string. And I see no reason to play this E with two fingers. I think that's a little bit silly, so I would still play it with your first finger. Let me go through and play that part again. Feel free to play along with me. I'm starting on my B. Ready, here we go. Okay, the next phrase uses more of the same with some of these strange notes. And this is a really great piece to work on accidentals like this. The next phrase goes from this G to the end of this B. And by the way, I wanted to point out something new that I learned about smart music is if you click on the notes and then click on this little symbol down here, I'm not even sure what that is, but it actually shows you the fingering, which is kind of neat for your instrument. So that was something that I came across earlier today that I thought was really cool. So I'm going to start right here on this G. This is what this next phrase sounds like. Okay, again, a lot of the same stuff. One thing to look out for is right here in measure 38. This is, again, an A sharp or a B flat, and then it goes right to a B natural. So you're going from low 2 right to high 2. So it should sound like that. Okay, and then the last phrase of this section starts on this G and goes to the end here of this this line. We should point out ahead of time that this is a very, very long E. This is 3 times 4, or 12 beats. 3, 6, 9, 12. It's a really long E that you're going to hold for 12 beats. So I'm going to go from this this G where we left off. Oh, sorry. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. Again, I would ignore these fingerings. I think that it's easier to just stretch that third finger rather than shift to third position. Let me just move over here and back up a little bit on the zoom out a little bit so I can play those first, what is it, 4 lines or 5 lines? Oops. Maybe I need to back up a little bit more. Here we go. So I'm going to play these first few lines, and feel free to play along with me, or if you want to listen and finger through it and try it again on your own after, that's okay too. So here I go. Again, this has 15 measures of rest at the beginning. It's great if you're playing along with the accompaniment. It kind of gets you into the right tempo. You're hearing the right tempo, but I'm going to start right where we come in with my B natural. Ready, here we go. Awesome. All right, let me zoom back in. This next section, things change a little bit, especially with our key signature and our time signature. So our time signature has now changed to cut time. I know we've gone over that in some lesson groups, others we haven't. So for right now, what we're going to say is that this basically feels like a very fast 4/4. So we're going to kind of ignore the fact that it says cut time and just count it as a fast 4/4. And again, if you are playing this with the accompaniment on smart music, you'll have 8 measures to catch the correct tempo. Our key signature has also changed. We now have no sharps and no flats. But as you can see, looking at the music, there are a lot of accidentals, so we'll be playing all sorts of different notes in this section. This is an example of a spot where we are going to follow the fingering, and this uses something called half position, which might be new to some of you, but it's actually going to make this easier than if you played it just in first position. So you can see we have a lot of E's and then a D sharp and then another E. If you played this all in first position, you'd have to go with your first finger and then back it up and come back up for the E. So E, 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 D sharp, E. Remember, D sharp is the same as E flat. What they're suggesting you do, and what makes sense, is to take your second finger and put it where your first finger would normally be to play the note E. And that puts your first finger down a half step to play the note D sharp. And it just makes it a lot easier to make this transition. So you're going to play all of these E's with 2 fingers, this D sharp with 1, and then you are going to shift back up to the E with your first finger here. So it's going to sound like this. Oops, I'm on the wrong string, sorry. Sorry, and it is an F natural, so your second finger is going to go next to your first finger after you shift. Let me do that again. Okay, it might take a little while to kind of get that down, the fingering down, but I promise it is easier than doing it the other way. Going back here, E, D sharp, E, C. I actually would do this just 1, 1, 1. It happens once, it's not the end of the world. So okay, then the next measure, 61. Couple of strange notes in there. We have our C sharp, that's high 3 on the on the G string. Really have to stretch to get that. I don't know if you noticed, but I played 4 fingers for my D, which made it really easy to find the C sharp because I can just put it right under 4, 3, 4. To me, that's an easier way of getting that note. And then D sharp again, which is the same as E flat. So let me go from up here again, from this half position. And that sets you up really nicely because you just played that low 1, E flat or D sharp. Now you can put your second finger right next to it to be in half position again to play the E. B flat, which is low 2. C, 3 fingers. E. Stretch your 3 for G sharp. Then rest. Okay, so this a couple of strange things in the second half, but it's a lot of repetitive things. So once you get that first little bit down, it shouldn't be too bad. Let me play these last 3 lines for you so you can hear them all together. Okay, ready, here we go. Rest. So that's all the way through this theme. We kind of played each part separately, but when you do it for real, you play all the way through. Again, remember you can record your take here on Smart Music and send it to me. So I would really like to see that, to see how you do with this. And if you're interested in um, seeing a video maybe of one of these other um, tunes, let me know and I might add that to my list to do next time.